Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
So I'm Amy Howlett, the chairman of the trustees, and let me introduce them to you. Let's hope I remember all of their names. They have been steadfast, but you know, I have the usual memory. Carl Ball, our clerk. Matt Brennan, at this point, the person with the most experience on the board, unlike Carl and me. Ellen Lawrence, one of the new people, and Rick Holloway, one of the new people. Both of them have been stellar, especially good at asking questions, which has made the rest of us so much more honest and thoughtful than we would be otherwise. Just a moment for preliminaries. Exits are there, and there. These two are tiny little rickety staircases. That staircase is much better, just so you know. There are bathrooms downstairs, and I think that's it. Could you, for Carl Ball's sake, our clerk, raise your hand, please, if you are a registered voter of the Village of Saxtons River? We have a quorum. That was my only concern. We were ready to start calling people. So thank you all for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. Carl is going to pass around a sign-up sheet. If you already signed when you came in the building, you don't have to add your name to this sheet. He just wants to be very clear that he gets everybody. Welcome, folks. We just started. Fact TV is taping the meeting. As you all know by now, the Vermont legislature has made it impossible for us to hold a Zoom meeting. So thank you again for coming out, and for those of you who are masked, thank you for taking that precaution. Art Smith texted me, emailed me today to tell me that he has a terrible cold. He's COVID negative, but he thought under the circumstances he would prefer not to expose the rest of you to his cold. He's the fire chief, for those of you who don't know. And I'm happy to take any questions back to him. There are seats in front. Just what you were hoping for?
It really is, just like 8th grade.
Come up here, we'll see if you'll come along. You are so good. No.
He's a wallflower. He will stay.
All right. If you want to turn to the warning inside your annual report, we will proceed to the first item of business, which is the election of the moderator. So we do this every year. The floor is open for nominations for moderator. And I believe I have one. I nominate Guy Payne for the position of moderator.
Second.
Okay? Are there any other?
Who seconded, please?
It was seconded by Peter Golick. Are there any other nominations for the moderator tonight? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
All right, Louise made the motion to close nominations. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt seconded it. Thank you in the audience. We'll catch you later. And a vote to close nominations. By a show of hands, all in favor of closing nominations? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the nominations are closed. The position is uncontested, so the clerk is directed to cast one vote for Guy Payne for moderator. Okay, Guy? Thank you for sitting in the audience until we transacted this.
As I was told. Okay. Thought you would know this is a souvenir from Ryan Osterberg. I bring it every year. So.
What is it you're holding? Oh, the gavel, yeah.
Ryan's. Yeah. Okay. Before we begin, what I'd like to do is take a moment of silence For those either who have been residents of Saxtons River or who have been close to folks in Saxtons River. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced names. Louise gave me instructions, and I've already forgotten what those instructions were. So, apologies. Elizabeth Rice Bennett, Mary Jane Bosworth, George Duff, Marilyn Simmons Hicks, James M. McCaffrey, Carol A. McGinnis, and Grover Lewis Holdaway. Let's take a moment of silence for those, and then we'll begin. Okay. Just some guidelines which you've probably heard at every town meeting, village meeting, and all, but I just wanted to go over them with you again. Please turn off any of your cell phones. Please give your name and name for those who may not know you, as well as the press. Please address all comments to the moderator as opposed to one another. Speak once on an issue until everyone else is gone, then you can follow up with follow-up questions. I'll state the motion. It will be restated. It will be given to someone who will make the motion, and then I will repeat the motion just before the vote. Cutting off debate takes a second and 2/3 vote. When it comes to other business, it cannot be moneyed issues. Whatever ruling I make, which I don't think I've ever made a ruling, can be overruled by a majority vote. And certainly non-residents are welcome, but just certainly you cannot vote. But please give us your name. So you're certainly all welcome with us here. Okay.
So, Mr. Moderator, I'd just like to point out, we have extra copies of the report, the village report, if anyone would like one. I'll pass this out.
Mine low. Actually, I'm supposed to stand. Okay. So Article 2 in the morning is to hear the reports of the trustees, treasurer, auditor, fire department, fast squad, tax collector, and water pollution control facility. Carl?
Mr. Moderator, I move to approve the reports of the trustees, the treasurer, fire department, fast squad, tax collector, water pollution control facility, recreation center, the Windham County Sheriff, and the auditors as printed in the report, including the minutes of the 2021 annual meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have the name who seconded, please.
Peter Bullock.
Mr. Moderator,
Okay.
I have a question,
Yeah.
or perhaps clarification. If everybody look on page 19, first line for the budget. Administration shows 1179.31. If you flip the page over to number 20, it shows a different number. Difference of $12.50, big deal. Also, the amount of $20,000 that was put into the fire station development fund did not get transferred over to the financial report. Therefore, the total of $52,000 is different than the $72,000 shown on the front page. So those two numbers should be corrected. Thank you.
So Peter, I don't know about the $12.
That could be just a transfer. I don't know what that is.
But the 20,000, I have to. It went in, it was very confusing. I'm trying to. So it was budgeted last year, or is that what the number you're looking at?
Well, the expenditures, actual expenditures is 20,000, but if you look on page 20, the same amount you've got posted in that column does not show the 20,000. And then when you get down to the totals, you're showing 52,384.95. You add 1250 to that, and the 20,000, and then you come up with the total you have on page 19 of 72,397.46. It's a minor issue, but.
We have a note about it, which was that the $20,000 from cash on hand was transferred to the fire station development account rather than applying to the 2021,
Right.
2022 budget.
But then your totals don't balance. You need to track, that money has to be posted as 20,000 as an expenditure. We took it out of cash anyway, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
You took it out of cash anyway,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So it should be shown as an expenditure, even though it's put into the development fund. Then your totals.
Oh, okay, I see what
You
you're
see what you're
saying.
saying, totals on the front page.
Right.
72,000 will match on the back page.
Right,
Just a matter of printing. It's 21,
okay,
should be shown.
yeah.
Also, if you look on
What's that?
page 20, I added this up about 6 times. And
You
the
and me both.
actual year-to-date, I'm a numbers guy. I do this in the town budget all the time. 36,124, I've got 41,509.44, which is a difference of 53.85. I don't know if something got missed. Posting over.
Could you repeat that? You have page 20.
On page 20, if you add up the actual year-to-date, 2021 to 22, the column, it says as of 3/1/22,
Okay.
my total I came up with was 41,509.44, which is a difference of 53.85. I don't know where that ended up. Something got
I
missed.
do, except when I did it on 3/1, I then redid it on like 3/20.
You might caught it back then, but
Yeah.
just the printing, that's all.
Yeah.
Peter, any other?
I'm done for now.
Done for now, all right.
That's just before we adopt the reports, that's all.
That's fine. Louise?
I have a question on the Main Street redevelopment, which, if people aren't aware, that's the red building, not Main Street Arts, not this building, it's that building. And what,
What page are you?
Yeah.
I'm just,
Page 11.
doesn't matter what page. I just wonder about the ownership of the building. If we are doing something with the grant and we don't own the building, is that a problem? How do we address that?
We do not own the building. Main Street Arts owns the building. We felt it was an important issue. We argued over what we should use this municipal planning grant for. Main Street Arts made the point that they could, we could suggest a sale to, I don't know, some developer, and Main Street Arts still has veto power for that decision. We argued about it, and we finally decided it was worth the risk to go forward. But feel free to comment now. This is what town meeting is for.
Any other questions or comments about the reports? Okay. Okay. I'll entertain,
We might want to just note also that the fire chief's report is for 2022, not 2021, as it says. It says fire chief's report for 2021. Should be 2022 on page 13.
okay.
Well, those numbers would be for last year. Those are last year's numbers.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone else's report says 2022, so.
Yeah, we have to,
So the numbers are for 20 to 21?
Okay, do we have everything taken care of at this point? Okay, entertain a motion to accept the, let me read it, the motion as it goes. The motion is to hear the reports of the trustees, treasurer, auditors, fire department, staff squad, tax collectors, and water pollution control facilities. Is there a motion to accept that?
So,
Peter? Second?
I second it. Rob Wheeler.
Motion was already made.
Yeah, but it's repeated. I have to repeat the motion. Okay?
Who
Prior to
who
the
made
vote.
the
Rob.
motion?
Rob, repeat. Okay, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Motion passed. Okay. Article 3.
I don't know if this is a proper moment to bring this up, but just a suggestion. On page 19, it says village taxes collected. Just a note that maybe it might make people a little easier to follow. If we put, I don't know how difficult it is to put what was actually billed versus collected. Because the only way you find out now is what was billed is to go and look at delinquent tax reports. And with 4 or 5 columns you're looking at, you could get lost easily. And the same with the sewer, you know, how it was actually billed as to what actually collected. You can see it right on that front page there.
No, Peter, that was actually, that's a great idea. And no,
I don't know how
so just,
difficult it is.
no, it's, well, going forward, it would have been very difficult right now because we're using a combination of 2014 Quicken and Excel sheets.
I know, I was an auditor once, I know where you go.
And notebooks. We are going to QuickBooks,
Yeah.
which should make all of this.
Yeah. Okay, just
Yeah.
a suggestion.
So noted. Thanks, Peter.
Did you get that?
But if we're going to talk about that, the village taxes, this is a great time to say what a great job Celia Bohannon and Alex Barrett have been doing due to recent sales in the village and the work of those two people.
I second that comment, I should have made that because I think this is the lowest I've seen delinquent taxes
Yeah,
in a while.
yeah.
So, kudos to whoever's beating the hammer on them.
It also helps because I actually know a little of the backstory.
Sure.
All right, moving on. These masks with I keep fogging up, so bear with me it. To elect the following officers. This is Article 3. To elect the following officers to will: 3 trustees, a treasurer, tax collector, collector of delinquent taxes, clerk, and 3 auditors. Nominations are now open for the position of trustee for a 2-year term currently held by Carl Ball, who is seeking re-election.
Moderator, I nominate Carl Wall for the position of village trustee for a term of 2 years.
Second?
Second from whom, please?
Who is second? Mike here.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Nominations closed.
Is there a second for closing nominations?
We have a willing candidate.
We don't waste our time on this.
I got one, hang 'em high.
All those in favor of nominations, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. I will direct the clerk to vote, pass in one vote to Carl for his own position. Okay. Next, nominations are now open for the position of trustee for a 2-year term currently held by Ellen Clark Lawrence, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Ellen Clark Lawrence for the position of village trustee for a term of 2 years.
Peter, give someone else a chance. I know you want to move it along. Is there a second? Rob Miller. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Is there a motion to close nominations other than Peter?
Motion to close.
Is there a second? Second? All those in favor of closing nominations, please raise your hand. Okay. Terrific. Casting one vote, Carl, for Ellen. Nominations are now open for the position of trustee for a 1-year term currently held by Rick Holloway, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I will nominate Rick Holloway for a position to serve 1 year.
Okay. So, is there a second? All right, John. John.
I guess we got John Bohan.
Are there any other nominations?
This is the easy one if anyone wants one.
Bite your tongue.
Make a motion to close nominations.
Okay, nomination, a motion to close
Make a
nomination.
motion to close.
John?
That's Rob.
Rob, I'm assuming you're second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Good. Opposed? Okay, cast one vote for Carl, for Rick. Okay, nominations are now open for the position of treasurer for a 1-year term currently held by Sarah Campbell, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Sarah Campbell for the position of village treasurer for the term of 1 year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Tom Bowen. Okay, any other nominations?
Please stop.
Okay. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Forgot about the vote and all that stuff, but that was going on. All right. I got out of Carl. One vote for Sarah Campbell. Okay, nominations are now open for the position of tax collector for a 1-year term currently held by Sarah Campbell, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Sarah Campbell for the position of village tax collector for a term of 1 year.
The second? Abigail. Any other nominations? Okay. I have a vote to close nominations.
I move we,
Somebody?
I move we close nominations. Susan Rugg.
Second to close nominations? Second. Okay, Russ. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Okay. And we're casting one vote for Sarah. Okay. This is tax collector and trustee. Okay. Nominations are now open for the position of collector of delinquent taxes for a 1-year term currently held jointly by Sarah Campbell and Melinda Underwood. Sarah is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Sarah Campbell for the position of collector of delinquent taxes for the term of 1 year.
Okay. Is there a second? Abigail? Any other nominations?
I move to close nominations.
Okay, Matt? Is there a second to close? John Bohannon? All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. One vote for Sarah Campbell. Nominations are now open for the position of village clerk for a one-year term currently held by Carl Hall, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Carl Ball for the position of village clerk for a term of 1 year.
Second, Peter Bergstrom. Any other nominations?
I move to close nominations.
Okay, Matt, is there a second to close nominations? John, I'll get you later. All those in favor of closing nominations, say aye. Aye. Then all those in favor of, well, no, with that being said, one vote for Carl Hall. Okay, nominations are now open for the position of auditor for a one-year term currently held by Alex Barrett, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, Alex Barrett is not interested in standing for re-election.
Oh, okay. Then do we have nominations for auditor for a one-year term?
Ben?
Abigail? Who? Oh, Peter.
I'm going to decline. I'm on the select board for 3 years, and I've got my hands full of that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Moderator, would it be appropriate to have one of the auditors talk about what is involved in the job?
Sure. Peter, would you like to do that?
Peter Bergstrom, I've done it for several years. Basically, it takes maybe 10 or 15 hours a year. We usually do it in March, although we're going to try to do it earlier. The village has 11 bank accounts.
Too many.
I know. But they all need to be cross-checked against invoices, the bank statements, and what's in Quicken or soon to be QuickBooks, just to make sure everything lines up. We've also been checking the income side, the deposits, to make sure they were credited properly, and also the make sure everybody who was on the grant list gets a tax bill, and everybody on the sewer list gets a sewer bill. So it's mainly a bunch of cross-checking and verifying things. Teresa's agreed to stand. Is she on the list?
Yeah,
Coming up?
that's,
Okay. Yeah, Alex decided he didn't have enough time.
anyone interested in volunteering? Now that Peter has explained some of the responsibilities. If not, then I think we'll move on and work with the village trustees to begin seeing how do we move forward to fill that vacancy. Okay. So, nominations are now open for the position of auditor for a one-year term currently held by Peter Bergstrom, who is seeking re-election.
Mr. Moderator, Amy Howlett, I nominate Peter Bergstrom for the position of auditor for a term of 1 year.
Clara, second. Tom Bowman. Are there any other nominations? Seeing as we had so many before.
I move to cease nominations.
All right. Is there a second to close nominations?
Second.
Okay. Well, John Bohannon had it as well. All those in favor of closing nominations, please say aye. Aye. Okay. And Carl, one vote for Peter Bergstrom. Nominations are now open for the position of auditor for a one-year term currently held by Tom Bowen, who is not seeking re-election. Ellen?
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Teresa Spear for the position of auditor for a term of 1 year.
Are there any other nominations? Teresa, you may want to just sort of raise your hand for folks who don't know you.
I
second the nomination.
Okay. Second the nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I move to cease nomination.
Okay. Is there a second? John again? All right. All those in favor of closing nominations, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Carl, would vote for Teresa Spear. Okay. Article 4. Article 4, to see if the voters will vote to assess tax on the grand list to the village for general operating expenses, the indebtedness of the village, and interest for the ensuing year. And if so, how much? Carl?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the village voters approve a general fund budget of $59,489.61, with $58,450 to be used for general operating expenses, $1,039.61 to be paid in negative cash on hand balance of minus $1,039.61 as of June 30th, 2021, the entire amount to be raised by taxes.
Is there a second?
Susan Still.
Susan Still. Is there discussion on the matter? Would someone of the trustees like to take?
Opinion deck again.
Okay, let me,
What is the actual?
just hold for a second. Does anyone on the trustees want to sort of present what the budget is first?
Well, the budget is on page 20.
On page 20, correct?
Yes.
It's showing the cash balance negative 5246. Has that been
That
taken into
is,
consideration?
that's because when we went through the budget in the trustees,
Could you spell that, please?
I'm sorry. We got an updated figure of the cash on hand from the treasurer's
That's why I
report.
have minutes. That's why I just
Yeah.
wondering, because this
So
just
this reflects, the motion reflects the updated
Okay.
treasurer's report rather than the preliminary
Okay, that's
budget,
just clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
which is the point I was going to clarify, so.
Just trying to give you the opportunity, Carl. Anything else you'd like to say, Carl, about the budget?
Stand up, Bill.
Well, just that we spent a lot of time going through this very carefully. There are some budgeted amounts that are considerably higher than a year ago, mostly fuel related, because we're anticipating cost of heating oil and propane and so forth to be substantially higher than they were in past years. I think that's really about all.
Okay. All right. Any questions from Peter?
Well, I don't know if this is a proper spot, but on the sewer wastewater account on page 24, just a clarification, I think I know what it is, but there's an item there on line 10, says pavement project, $40,000, $14,278 was expended. Was that for the risers for the manholes? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought, but I just find out. Are we planning to replace more, because we've got a lot of money left over there?
No.
Okay.
We took that from our capital reserve, so we don't really want to spend it.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions to the trustees on the budget? Okay, so I'll reread the motion and then we will vote on it. To move the village voters approve a general fund budget of $59,489.61, with $58,450 to be used for general operating expenses and $1,039.61 to repay the negative cash on hand balance of minus $139.61 as of June 30th, 2021, with the entire amount to be raised by taxes. All those in favor of the budget, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Article 5, to see what action the voters will take in relation to the collection of taxes.
Mr. Moderator, I move, it's Amy Howlett, I move that the voters authorize the tax collector and the collector of delinquent taxes to take whatever legal action is necessary for the collection of taxes.
Is there a second? Abigail. Second. Discussion? Peter?
The current balance, the current practice here is placing liens on delinquencies, is that correct?
Yeah.
The problem with that seems that if you place a lien on someone's property and it doesn't sell for 10 years, or 15 or whatever, the rest of the taxpayers are picking up that balance. And I know in Rockingham, we got about $400,000 or $500,000 delinquency right now, and it's going on tax sale. It wouldn't be a major issue for the village here to join the Village of Bellows Falls and the town of Rockingham to get on the tax sale thing, other than they would have to pay for, their portion, which would probably be minuscule at this point, might be 10% of whatever the bill would be from the attorney that handles the tax sale. But that way you're be better assured of getting your money in a shorter period of time than the longer it takes. Volatile market when houses are selling, on a fast pace, that works fine for liens, but just a suggestion.
Comment, and then I want to go to Dave.
My understanding on this is we've done very well collecting interest and late fees on these properties. And actually, we've come out way ahead, and we're not kicking people out of their homes or whatever, because a lot of houses are turning over. Matt?
So to go a little further with that. Sure. To go further with that, what we found was that when properties were selling in Saxtons River, attorneys were going to the town of Rockingham to see if the titles were clear, and not checking with the village of Saxtons River to see if there was any delinquencies. So the only way for us to recoup any village taxes or sewer fees was to put a lien on the property. And as Dave said, that this has worked very well.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Amy Howlett. So I have a question for Peter. How often do the tax sales happen?
Well, with the changes in the current administration being about every 2 years down there, it hasn't had one for probably 5 years. It's generally, it's a 2 year, the tax has to be delinquent for 2 years, and it has to be delinquent over, I think it's like $2,000 before you can take one to tax sale. So for delinquency is less than 2,000, it just sits out there or attempts to be made to be collected, or it's written off if it's a small amount generally. We have a lot of $150 delinquencies in there that, they've been there for years, and some of the people have passed on. They're still listed as a delinquency, so it's the BCA meetings that are generally disposed of it that manner.
Okay, Ben?
Ben Wallace. So I just like to voice that I'm in support of the way that the village is currently handling the collection of taxes. Anybody who's late on either their village or their sewer fee pays a late fee that amounts to 18% interest per year. So the village is earning 18% on that money that in effect is, loaning, if you will, to people who are late paying their bills. I think it's worked out quite well for the village. And as long as there's not a cash flow issue, and the village has capital reserve funds that allow it to borrow against the capital reserve if there's any short-term payments that need to be made. So I'm in favor of leaving it the way it is.
Okay.
With property taxes, the highest percentage you can charge per the state of Vermont is 1% for the first 3 months. then you can go nuts. And we've actually done very well. So when Alex didn't hand the books over to me till May, so I didn't really have a good grasp of the 2021 year. But once the liens went out, Celia had gotten a whole stack of liens that went out between April and end of May. And there were people who called and just were like, I'm so embarrassed. You know, and I had never thought of it as a particularly like a shaming thing, but there were people. And then with doing some serious research on proper addresses, and that was a huge, who should be really paying that we had 2 properties that were substantial, that just getting the right bill to the right person was very important. And the lien, wouldn't have happened without the lien. And we recoup back the cost of the lien because we can charge for that when we, and then we have, I think, 2 taxpayers, property owners this year approached me and just said, you know, I'm struggling a little bit, can we work out a payment plan? And we did that, and that's been successful. So I suppose maybe we should publicize that. You know, but pretty much people paid within 2-3 months of being billed. So, and people did really well in terms of getting payments, and the sales of houses have helped enormously in some of the bigger numbers. And we have a couple of homeowners who are never, ever, ever going to pay. No matter, we can put it on tax sale, we can.
We have the same in town, so I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
I just making a comment.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree. One of them has been, Carl and I worked very hard to make sure that people were being appropriately charged for sewer fees. And again, a little bit of my background of knowing, no, this is how many apartments are in that building. There, you know, this is how many residence units are in here, of making sure it's even, so that if, like my dad's property, which most people know where I grew up, two houses he paid for 20 years. He was the only one who lived on that property, and he paid 2 sewer fees, and that's appropriate and fair, and making sure that that extends to the greater village.
Okay, good. Thanks, Sarah. So, any other comments? John?
John Bissers. Sarah, so these people that don't pay, they're never going to pay. So when they pass, the lien is on the property, and that's when you get
yes,
paid. Okay.
and or when they sell it.
Okay.
But even if they just transferred it to a child, any transfer within
Of ownership.
Or try to get a home equity loan.
Yeah, home equity loan. We had one very large one on School Street that refinanced, and that, that meant, and not only that, now the mortgage company pays the property taxes. And remember, property taxes are taxes, sewer fees are fees, 2 different rules, laws, regulations.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay. Let me repeat the motion. To see what action the voters will take in relation to, there's a motion to move that the voters authorize the tax collector and the collector of delinquent taxes to take whatever legal action is necessary for the collection of taxes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. Okay, we're on to Article 6. Article 6, to see whether the voters will authorize the treasurer, subject to the approval of the trustees, to borrow money, if necessary, to pay the current operating expenses of the village prior to the collection of taxes.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters authorize the treasurer, subject to the approval of the trustees, to borrow money, if necessary, to pay the current operating expenses of the village prior to the collection of taxes.
Okay. Is there a second? Ron? Rob Wheeler? Okay. Discussion?
We will.
Pretty much a housekeeping bill? Okay. Read the motion. To move, the voters authorize the treasurer, subject to the approval of the trustees, to borrow money if necessary to pay the current operating expenses of the village prior to the collection of taxes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Article 7, to transact any other business proper to be brought before this meeting, which must be a non-money motion or point of view. No?
I'd like to introduce some new people in our village.
Please do.
Okay? Jeff McClarty and Anna McClarty. They bought the Catholic Church.
Welcome.
Do not go there for Mass.
For Mass, not Mass.
And Laura Wolf, who bought Mary Hepburn's house. Laura, wave your hand. And I don't know if there's anyone else. Is there? Who's that?
Paris.
Stand up.
So Eric Winsenberg, you can say your own name.
Eric Winsenberg.
And Paris Kern, we bought the Eddie House.
The Eddie? Oh, that's not in the village. That's not in the village, sorry.
It's not in the village?
No. That,
Really? Where is it?
You're still.
I didn't realize we were in the suburbs.
That's Peter. Peter's the one you want to talk to.
Are you sure they're not in the village?
It's Murray Hill.
Daddy's always said they were.
No, they are, no, legally they're not.
They don't pay us taxes? Are you sure?
No. But our boundaries are.
Ms. Moderator, although she does not live in the village of Saxtons River, I would like to recognize Sam Fletcher for everything she does for us for the Saxtons River Rec area. I don't think she's here, but she spends so much time, energy, she figures out the resources so that our kids in our community can have the best damn swimming hole around. And then I want to say also is if this is going to sound so true. If you say something, because the vandalism continues to be a problem, and graffiti, and if there are kids knocking about with spray cans, go over and yell at them. It takes a village, quite literally.
I'd just like to thank all the volunteers that make this a nice village to live in, so thank you all. And I hope we can get Main Street revitalized like it used to be.
I forgot to mention Carolyn Shodwar, who, we know her, but she just moved into the village, so she's a real villager now.
Mike?
Couple things. I just, this is a little bit more on the town side, but Green Up Day is coming up May 7th, and our Green Up Day coordinators happen to be here. Well, one's now former, Amy's now former Green Up Day coordinator. Guy has announced it's going to be his last year to be the Green Up coordinator for the town, so we're going to need new Green Up Day coordinators for next year. So you can talk to Guy or Amy, you can talk to me as chair of the Conservation Commission. And then otherwise, please get out May 7th or that week to help pick up trash. And then I had a couple of questions. I heard that the 4th of July committee has decided that they can't hold fireworks this year, and I wanted to get some more insight into that.
Susan, is that a response to mine?
Yes, it is. I'm Susan Still. I'm secretary of the 4th of July committee, and the cost of fireworks went up to $10,000 this year, which is double. And in addition, they had no slots for the 4th of July. So we could have held fireworks on a different date, but the committee decided not to have them this year, with the hope that we can have the money for next year.
Good choice.
Why can't we all get together with sparklers?
Hang
out.
Just for cleanup, that's
Susan,
what I was told.
just clarification, but there still will be a 4th of July parade and
There will be a fabulous 4th of July, the parade, all kinds of floats, the street fair afterwards, and a party at the Rec in the evening with a dance band. And the theme for this year is the Roaring Twenties. There will be Charleston lessons in here before the parade, and there will be Charleston dancers in the parade. So yes, it's going to be just like old times.
Sarah?
So I just want to mention in terms of Green Up Day, I posted today a film by Campbell Films of Saxtons, Vermont, on the original Green Up Day, which happened in 1970, and I make an appearance at second 26. My father did not believe in paying actors. But it's a fascinating thing. It has the Westminster, who is it, David? The guy, I can't think, the guy who was like in charge of Westminster for a really long time. Very thick Vermont accent. He's great. It might have been, yeah. But anyway, it's a nine-minute film because back then they thought that people had an attention span. They closed the highways to green up Vermont. It was astounding. And we also have in our village 2 people, one of them right there, who really works so hard on every day with trash bags in their hands. Will Corbett and, please God, I just lost Berta, thank you, Martin, came back as the last name, who every day that I see them clean up our
I'm going to step out of my role and jump into the role of Green Up Coordinator, and that you can pick up bags at Saxtons River at the market, J&H Hardware, as well as Leasey's. One of the things, though, do not take the green up bags to the recycling center. Leave them by the side of the road for the pickup on Monday, May 9th. There have been some people that are taking the green up bags to the recycling center now, which creates all sorts of problems. So just leave what you pick up on the side of the road. It will be picked up on Monday. And you can certainly leave it at the side of the road long before that. Will Corbett spent one whole month doing 121.
Yeah.
So
whoever drinks Bud Light, you really should just have it in your car.
So the trustees have been kicking around the idea of a declaration of equity. We brought it to the joint board, who said, well, have you done it in Saxtons River yet? And we said no. So the idea is that towns all over Vermont acknowledge that there is a history of racism. And if we want to be a welcoming state, maybe it starts at a really local level. So I'm here just to see what your feelings are. If anybody would like to express, yes, that sounds interesting, or no, we don't want to go down that path, that would be helpful. I'm wondering if at some point it might be a good topic for an Australian ballot. You know, we do have those times when we all go to Rockingham, and at that point a separate question could be handed out just for Saxtons River voters to check, yes, I think it's a good idea, and the statement would be there so you'd know what you were acknowledging. The longer statements that, for example, Governor Scott has signed, or towns like Pittsburgh and Rutland talk about LGBTQ acceptance, acceptance of immigrants, acceptance of all peoples. So I'm just floating it out to see if anybody has a reaction to that. Coincidentally, Susan Small here is not here tonight because there is a strong discussion at the Bellows Falls Union High School School Board about the flying of the Black Lives Matter flag. So it kind of says to me, maybe this is a time, but this is a village. This is not about just the trustees. So I'm asking you, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I agree, definitely do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
When we say agree, can you give reasons?
Well, I have a black daughter. I have a black daughter, so obviously I'm all in favor.
But I think this is a village that walks the walk. We have Vermont Academy, again, this goes back historically, took students very early from a program called the ABC program, which brought kids from inner city schools to boarding schools throughout New England and Vermont Academy, and it's particularly the headmaster at the time, Mike Chukas, were huge, strong proponents of a program that worked and worked incredibly well. Ryan Osterbo was part of that. And we have a Main Street that when I was a teenager, there were kids flying around of every shape, size, color, creed, and we walk the walk. So I think talking the talk is fine.
Susan Rugg. I think in the times we live in, it's important to not sit by and just accept things. I think we've got to be more proactive and we've got to be more accepting of each other. And so I think it's very important that we go on the record to say that we are going to be tolerant.
Other comment? Ben?
Yeah, Ben Wallace said, it's important to me to live in a community that is welcoming of everyone, and I'd like to see the village state that position.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Feel free to contact any of the trustees if you have other thoughts. You know, if you felt like this was a dumb idea, but you didn't want to say it in this surroundings, all of our names and addresses, email addresses and phone numbers are on our webpage, which is at rockinghamvermont.org. Feel free to contact us. As I say, sometimes it's awkward to speak out in a group like this, but we're all receptive, very receptive to your messages.
Okay. Question, what's the next step to make it happen? Are we just saying this is a good idea and this is just going to sit, or are we going to do something?
So it's the kind of thing that the trustees could pass. We felt like, I felt like it really should come before you. And we aren't, this is not a trustee meeting, this is the annual meeting. So we'll talk about it again. I certainly feel very encouraged seeing what everybody has to say. And of course, everyone here is welcome to any of our meetings. We're meeting only electronically. If you hate that, also please get in touch with us and tell us that. We put the links out on the kiosk at the market and on the kiosk by the fire station. They're always on the rockinghamvermont.org page, and they're in the Brattleboro Reformer the day of the meeting. You can also just phone in. You don't have to have a computer. A telephone will bring you into the Zoom meeting. So, you know, if we do nothing and you feel like we've let you down, hey, that's a great way to try and get something. The first item on every agenda after we call the meeting to order is public comment. And typically, you know, we don't have anybody who's shown up with things to say. They're waiting for a specific item. But we certainly welcome all of you.
Carl?
I would also like to point out that we have a mailing list for the agendas of every meeting. It comes out the Friday before the Monday night meeting typically. If you would like to be on that list and you aren't already, email me, the clerk, and I will make sure that you're added to that list. There's a separate mailing list for the minutes of the meetings if you'd also like to receive the emailing list, yes. Yes. We're not spending your tax dollars on postage.
Any other comments pertaining to what Amy had to say, or is this something new? New? John?
There was a mention of a park committee. Who is on that park committee?
Stand up and...
Hi. My name is Margaret Vandenberg, and I'm not the only one on the park committee. There's Louise,
And there's Teresa Spear, there's Abigail, there's Peter Bergstrom, and we've been working for about a year on this. I think the park's in pretty good position right now. It needs a little weeding, and we have quite a stable of weeders that will start pretty soon. We have a fence that needs a little repair. I think some kids used it as a shortcut to get to the river. And we're hoping to add a little color to the park with some flowers that we spoke with Julie, and she feels great about that. Abigail.
Just for everybody in the room, the park is in really pretty good condition because we have a driven leader. Margaret is really to be acknowledged.
No, Abigail had something on the
I
prior.
had something back to the
Oh, I missed that.
conclusion
My
statement.
apologies. Go ahead.
I wondered, are you all planning to issue a draft or the statement for us to see it before it becomes whatever law? Yes,
Mr. Moderator? Yeah, I think we should come to an agreement. There are model statements out there. The Vermont League of Cities and Towns, which pays for our workman's comp, gives us events insurance. They also answer any questions we have. And Louise will tell you I have nothing but questions when it comes to this position. So they have a model statement, and I think, again, I think we'll take it to a trustee meeting, look over it, and maybe we'll publish it to that email list that Carl has. We'll post it and try and open some kind of channel so people can give us feedback. You know, yes, we like this, but cross out the third term or whatever. It's a real vehicle for discussion, but hearing all of you say, hearing so many of you say we want to be welcoming certainly gives me the courage to go forward with this.
All right, you want to make sure everyone's gone before we go back to Sarah? Sarah?
This is a question as tax collector and sewer fee collector. Traditionally, we've sent out the property taxes and the sewer fees as two separate bills that go out about a month, 6 weeks apart. Does everyone have strong feelings about why I couldn't put them in the same envelope at the same time, saving 55 cents for each property owner, and an envelope, and saving me from addressing an additional 350 envelopes?
Yeah. That's great. The due dates would be the same.
No, I would probably stagger the due dates just so that if there is someone, you know, it's a chunk of money, $300, you know, for, I think we usually, August 15th, and then the other chunk of money, I'm not committing to those dates, I have to look. You know, two
different due dates.
Two different due dates. But same envelope, saving some money.
Good idea.
Sounds good.
I would hand deliver them if that,
Okay, any other comments?
Just one more comment. We've had some fun neighborhood potlucks on North Main Street the last 4 or 5 years. And if it's okay with Susan and Berta and Sarah, I would think the village would be invited to these, even people on Western Heights. So
Let's host it at their house.
But they're potlucks. But anyway, so I would even like to have 2 this year. They're so much fun. But anyway, well, you might see a little flyer in your door sometime. Or hear from a friend and you're welcome to come.
Do you have a date?
Got it?
Well, they were, last year was...
When it doesn't rain.
When was it, Labor Day? It's usually August or September, early September. Yes? Rick?
We've had a couple of fun ones in the upper village too that you're all welcome to.
But Upper Main Street wasn't answered.
Sarah?
Yeah, Pleasant Street hasn't had one. Our turnover rate has been incredible.
So let's just have one.
We need to talk about that. But I would think someone who needs to be recognized and acknowledged for all the work he does for the village, not only as a resident, but as our wastewater treatment plant operator, is Rob Wheeler, who goes above, I know it's his job, and we do pay him. But he really does, he goes beyond what we would ever ask of anyone. No, that's not true. He goes beyond what is asked of him. And really is thinking about what's best for the village at all times. So I just want to acknowledge that.
I'd like to enter into the minutes a commendation for the Village Market and its staff for its help during the pandemic. And I would also like to recognize April and her many years of service and ownership of the store.
Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion
Adjourn.
to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Abigail is the second. All those in favor of adjourning until next year?
Yeah.